I got back to my place at 3 a.m. After a long drive, I arrived home to find the house empty. On the kitchen table was an A4 manila envelope. I was curious, so I opened it and pulled out the contents. I flicked through the sheath and saw a 3-page letter. A handwritten letter, some legal papers, and a divorce application already signed by my wife. I read the letter. My dearest David, I feel a little bad using that term, but despite what I have done to you, I think after 26 years of marriage you will allow me that little indulgence. There is no easy way of telling you. I've left you now. By the time you read this, I'll have crossed the border and be out of your reach. I'm going to spend the rest of my life lying in luxury on a beach somewhere in the tropics. It was another man, his name is Michael, and I know I've found my true soulmate if you could see us together. I think you'd be happy for me to give you some emotional closure. I can confirm that I have been having a sexual relationship with him for the last 9 months. He isn't as good a lover as you, but our relationship is far more emotional than sexual. He holds some, I guess I sort of let him have control over me, and I just couldn't say no to him. He talked me into taking the financial steps I have because I do still love you, and I don't think you deserve what I have done. I thought it was the least I could do to tell you all the details. Firstly, I have refinanced the house fully and taken the $453. I took the $790,000 out of all our bank accounts and kept that as well. I fought hard with Michael to allow you to keep some of it, but he said no. I'm sorry, Dave, I just can't resist him. I also sold my Lexus and am keeping the $45,000. I'm also taking all my jewelry with me. I wanted to keep it as a nest egg for Jod, Ryan, and Pat, but Michael and I needed the money, so we had to sell it cheaply. It was a cash deal, which I thought was a little shady. I never met the people that bought it, as I worked through an intermediary, so I don't know what they're like. I truly hope they keep you on as manager, and Ryan keeps his job. I made $8 million from that deal. We also have a similar arrangement. Michael refinanced his house using a similar ruse to me and cleaned out his bank accounts. He also took all his wife's jewelry, which I thought was a bit mean. His share is way less than mine, but it still amounts to over $1. I did make one concession to decency, though. I left him with a power of attorney and blank divorce papers. I feel a little sorry for her, but I never met her, so I'll live. Please find attached a blank divorce application, which already has my signature on it. I saw him sign it. I don't want you to think I'll be back. I'll be living my best life without you. It seems unfair for you to have to wait 12 months to divorce me for abandonment. I would expect you to file immediately and keep all our assets for yourself. I hope the company will see you through to a decent retirement. Please look after the children, and if you can, defend what I have done. I know they never really forgave me for having that affair 5 years ago, but it will still hurt never seeing them again when I am settled. I'll send my friend Cindy an address where you can mail letters. I trust her never to reveal it to you. She hasn't liked you since you turned her down when she came on to you. That time again. If you can find it in your heart, I would love to get photos of any grandkids we end up with after the 7-year period. I know the statute of limitations has passed, but I might even pop back and see them. I understand if you don't want to see me, but I won't push it. You might notice the bottom of this page is wrinkled. That's from my tears. You don't deserve this, and I'm truly sorry for being so weak. The only thing that's getting me through this is the thought of spending the rest of my days on the beach in the arms of my one true love. Goodbye, my dear David. I'll always remember you fondly as a wonderful husband and father, and provider. I'm just sorry I couldn't match your love and loyalty, Kate. I'd just finished reading with a small tear in my eye for the lost 26 years when the front door opened and Lisa came in. She looked as tired as me. She smiled as she came over, gave me a chaste peck on the cheek and sat down across the table from me. You're back quickly. Did you get a letter as well? No, just divorce papers and a power of attorney. Well, he's a gutless skunk. Awfully decent of him, though. Well, you can thank Kate for that. It was her idea. The idea is that he was 10 times 10 for decency, but only 5 times 5 for smarts. He used such a predictable password on her computer that anyone could read her emails. I guess she didn't think you would be looking over her shoulder after 5 years. What's in your letter? All predictable, she still loves me, blah blah, met her soulmate, etc. Then he goes on to give the details of how she is, and how she knows 25% of the company, won't support any sort of retirement. The biggest hoot of all is that she knows this and she's still going to ask for more. I remember when she wrote that she'd never met you. What do you say to that? Oh God, don't remind me about that. Do you know how hard it was keeping a straight face through those negotiations, knowing that however much we paid, it just ended up her gifting the whole company to you? We'll need to go to the bank first thing tomorrow. Or should we go to the lawyers? I told you the bank opens at 9 a.m. We have an appointment with the lawyers at 10. I don't want to be late if either of them changes their mind on the divorce before we get our signatures witnessed on the papers they left us. It will complicate things, so don't worry. Dave, I'm sure Michael won't get out of hospital before Thursday at the latest. I have a feeling that Kate isn't as clever as she could be. I'm sorry, Dave. I don't mean to offend you. I don't worry about it, Liz. I always knew that she was out of my league physically, but I left her behind intellectually. We both lapsed into a comfortable silence. I don't know what Lisa was thinking. I was thinking about the last time I'd seen my wife. She was standing for Lee on the side of the road we were following. We were driving away from them, about 10 minutes behind. Mick, abandoned Kate, had got out of the car for some reason at a service station just short of the border. Lisa waved at her on the way past. She seemed to be reading my thoughts. Lisa spoke. I wonder where she is now. I hope she's safe in a cell, calling the police to have her arrested for signature fraud. It was only my way of protecting her from highway. Dave, I appreciate your honesty. I admire your consideration, and I think that's one of the things I like about you. It reminds me that I could sue the bank for letting her do that. We could make a profit that way. Dave, don't be greedy. We've already got rid of 2 cheaters for free. We got 100% of your company and retrieved all the money and jewels. What more do we need? After another comfortable silence, I asked Liz how she was traveling emotionally. She said she was a bit sad, but she'd get over it. I appreciate you asking. When I feel bad about it, I just have to remember the look on Michael's face as you shunted his car off the road. He was within arm's reach of me at the time. It was priceless. Do you think you'll get in trouble for beating him up? I know it was a bit of a guy thing, but you gave him a good thrashing. Why do you think I waited until he had crossed the border anyway? What do you mean, me getting into trouble? I saw you kick him in the groin at least 8 times. God, Dave, don't tell me you're one of those old-fashioned types that think a girl shouldn't have a little fun once in a while. You know, those who think a girl shouldn't have a little fun once in a while. I didn't know you were going to set fire to his car. Oh, sorry, it was a spur-of-the-moment thing. It was just a moment. Did you know that if your car is stolen and the insurance company finds it with the keys still in it, they won't pay out? They say you have to take reasonable steps to secure your property. I removed the GPS tracker from the chassis before I set fire to it. When are you going to report him for signature fraud? Did you already do that? He'll be in the hospital for a few days, so they'll have time to get the extradition order sorted out. He's not going anywhere. Another silence followed. Are you still happy to come with me tomorrow when I explain all this to my kids? Dave and Lisa, of course. I wouldn't dream of letting you do that on your own. What are friends for? We both pondered our own thoughts. Lisa's phone rang again. She answered with a sigh. There was a pause, then, I'm sorry, I do speak English very well. She hung up. It looks like they found my husband, she said. That was his one phone call after another minute's comfortable silence. Ironic, Dave, she added. They thought they could get our share of our. It's ironic that we get their share and our freedom while staying here. Instead of living in luxurious exile for a few years, we get to stay here. I'm sure they thought it was a foolproof plan at the time. I was going to get my 3 kids over tomorrow to help with the wedding invitations, but I think I'll wait until later. Are you still happy for Ryan to be the best man? It's your choice. It's strange having As your son is your best man, you do know it is traditional for the bride to marry the best man, right? If the groom doesn't show up, don't you think it would be better to have someone else there? I hadn't heard that one, but don't you worry. I would never miss your wedding day. Finally, we had a proper kiss, but it was only for about 5 minutes. We broke away and looked into each other's eyes, which I fell in love with 8 months ago. Now we have 2 signatures on divorce applications. Can we retire upstairs and finally consummate our love? You know, I'm really tempted, Dave, but why don't we wait until we're not so tired? That way we can make it really special. I will agree to one of your famous all-night snuggles, though. What do you mean, all night? We have to be at the bank in 5 hours. That's all the more reason to get some sleep than a horny old goat. As I followed Lisa up the stairs, not for the first time, wondering what that glorious-looking package looked like naked, I remembered the question I'd been meaning to ask. Liz, have you decided where you want to go on our honeymoon yet? I think we should go to a tropical beach for a while. It's funny you should say that, Lisa. What do you think about OP? Thanks for joining us in our stories. We're serving up revenge hot. Please consider subscribing to our channel to ensure your next chef remains loyal. Tune in for the next one to get your revenge appetite fulfilled. Build if you're below 18. It's not for the faint. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to be unkind.